With Hurricane Maria about to hit the East Coast, I feel like that's all we see on the news. However, Trump is worried about a past hurricane that has hit the country, Hurricane Maria. Today I will be discussing Trump's stand on the controversial death toll of Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico and the news sources covering this controversy. Knowing the accuracy of Trump's allegations as well as the media surrounding it can affect how you vote for the presidential election in 2020. I have researched this study for weeks, and I am prepared to discuss with you Trump's allegations as well as the news sources covering them. This all started with Trump disagreeing with the George Washington University study, which studied the death toll of Hurricane Maria, and I will also be discussing the news sources and their accuracy. So, Trump has his own opinions, but what is the news saying? This all began because President Trump disagreed with a George Washington University study, which was conducted in order to find the death toll from Hurricane Maria. The study said that deaths rose from about 64 people to around 3,000 people. Adam Edelman from NBC News says that this increase in the death toll brought the population down about 8%. John Wagner and Joel Achenbach from the Washington Post said that everyone included in the study was unbiased and did not receive any sort of bias or opinions from Democratic, Republicans, anything. The deaths were compared to past expected death rates, which this means that they looked at every death rate from the past couple years within those months and compared it to the death rates that they had found already from Hurricane Maria. Unfortunately, Trump believed that any death was included in this study, and he believed that even deaths like old age were included. However, had this been the case, there would have been about 16,000 deaths reported in the study. So, Trump said that old age or any sort of death was included in the study, and that the study overall was faked by the Democrats in order to make him lose the upcoming 2020 election. William Cummings from USA Today shared Trump's tweets, which said, 3,000 did not die in Puerto Rico. This was done by Democrats in order to make me look as bad as possible. Bad politics. I love Puerto Rico. If a person dies for any reason, like old age, just add them onto the list. Both the left and the right side of politics are disagreeing with Trump's statements and siding with the George Washington University study. Chris Cillizza from CNN tweeted, the prominent Florida Republicans, including Governor Scott and Senator Rubio, sent tweets disagreeing with Trump. William Cummings from USA Today shared Rubio's tweet, which said, even tragedy is political. We need to stop the blame game and focus on recovery. Courtney O'Brien from Town Hall shared San Juan's Mayor Carmen Yulin Cruz's tweet, this is what denial looks like, Mr. President. In the real world, people died on your watch. Your lack of respect is appalling. Now I want to share with you the accuracy of all these sources I have discussed. My first source came from CNN reporter Chris Cillizza. I believe that generally this source was biased towards the left side of politics. The title of the article said that Trump's tweets show he can always go lower, which shows some distaste towards our president. There is no depth that Trump will not explore to further his own narcissism and political agenda, Cillizza reported. Cillizza reports facts from the George Washington University, but mostly focuses on ridiculing Trump, so I believe this article is mostly biased towards the Democratic side of politics. My second source came from USA Today reporter William Cummings. I did not have any reason to believe this source was biased. He shared both Democratic and Republican tweets in response to Trump, and the tweets were directed against Trump, but this was not a biased source. This was just sharing how everyone was feeling. He shows all sides of the story, and I have no reason to believe he was biased. My third source comes from NBC News reporter Adam Edelman. I also believe that this source did not contain any bias. He mostly focuses on the George Washington University study, and he discusses how the study will have a follow-up to make sure that the numbers are correct that were reported, and he shares these facts without taking a side of the story, which leads me to believe that he is not biased. My fourth source comes from Town Hall reporter Courtney O'Brien. I believe that this source is biased towards the right side of politics. The title of the article is Trump Denies Revised Death Toll, Cue the Outrage. This implies satire and passive aggressiveness towards those who do not believe Trump. The article is short and to the point, but it is passive aggressive and mainly supports Trump rather than sharing the facts. It is not blatantly biased, but it does make snide comments and passive aggressive comments towards the Democrats or anyone who would rather believe the story than Trump. My fifth and final source comes from Washington Post reporters John Wagner and Joel Achenbach. I also believe that this source has no bias. They share tweets from both sides of Republicans and Democrats, and they also go into detail about the George Washington University study. They discuss where Trump has been mistaken within the study and how he could have formed his argument better in order to make it more accurate. This article also says that Trump is not correct, but it is not biased. Again, it is just sharing the information stated with everyone's response. Fake news is everywhere on the media, so fact-checking your sources is very important. Most of my sources were not biased. Even the biased ones still did report the facts. However, I did use PolyFact to help me research this just in case. Amy Sherman from PolitiFact says that the George Washington University study was accurate. George Washington University focused on comparing expected deaths, as I had previously stated. She said many factors, distribution and transportation, access to food, water, medications, power, and other essentials may have contributed to this death toll, which means that anyone, even if they were in a hospital and the power went out so they did not have a generator, would have died and been counted in this death toll. Overall, Sherman determined that Trump's allegations were false and that the George Washington University study should be accepted as true. So, my sources present information on the George Washington University study as well as sharing both sides of the story. Most of my sources lead to Trump's accusations being false. Even the biased sources do end up in the end agreeing with the study. So George Washington University presented a study accepted by Democrats and Republicans with the exception of President Trump. The loss of lives from any storm or natural disaster is tragic. Hopefully Hurricane Florence will not have this much conspiracy surrounded by it.